Good morning and thanks for choosing Fox 10 News on this Saturday morning. I'm Asha Staples, wanting to check in first with meteorologist Matt Barentine for a look at our weekend forecast. Still those humid temperatures, and are we still under a heat advisory, Matt?
Yeah, parts of our viewing area are under a heat advisory here for today on your Saturday. Heat index values 106 to 112 this afternoon. So be ready for the heat. It's about to get cranked on up. First off, this is the best time of day if you got to get something done now. Okay, it's still 7 a.m. If you go out and mow your yard right now, your neighbors may be a little upset with you, but you're not going to be able to put it off for too much longer because it's going to start warming up quickly. 77 in Mobile, 80 in Pensacola, 79 in Pace right now, 82 in Destin. Here's a look at the radar. It's clear in our local area. There's one little shower looks like over by the Chandelier Islands over there in Louisiana, but for now, all is quiet across our local area. Just a couple of puffy clouds, and that is it here to start the day. And you look at the futurecast, going right up to noontime, it's pretty quiet, and really throughout the day, it's pretty quiet. Our rain chance stays only around 10%, only a very slight chance of a stray shower or storm. So most of us will remain dry, which will allow those temperatures to come on up well into the 90s this afternoon, mid to upper 90s. Heat index values, like I said, should get to 106 to 112 here this afternoon. So a real weekend scorcher with slim rain chances to cool us down. I'll break down your exact forecast, your full forecast, coming up in a few minutes. We'll check that out in your long-range forecast, see when we might get a little bit of relief. It's July, so there's not going to be a whole lot. I'll break that down for you coming up in a few minutes.
To plan is absolutely right now. In particular, when we think about healthy building strategies, schools have to be paying attention to and looking at their mechanical and ventilation systems right now. This is not something that can be started in early August.
The CDC director attempting to clear up the mass confusion caused by President Trump's threat to withhold federal funding for schools that do not fully reopen, something he does not have the legal authority to do on his own. For months, school districts nationwide have been scrambling, trying to figure out just how to reopen safely. More districts across the country now unfolding their plans. And Baldwin County offering the choice between traditional and virtual learning this upcoming school year, but there's a risk those who head back to class could come in contact with the coronavirus, including teachers. Our Hal Sherrick looks at the potential impact.
As Baldwin County parents wait to hear guidelines for in-school face masks and social distancing, another big question is what happens if teachers have symptoms of COVID-19? Gulf Shores has said it will handle that situation in a similar way to if a student does.
If they have symptoms at school, the plan is to immediately isolate, get them home safely or get them to a doctor safely, and then depending on whether they test positive or if they've been in contact with someone, it's a quarantine period, whether it's 14 days or 10 days is typically the period.
Federal funding will provide for 10 days of paid COVID-related leave. Contact tracing will likely remain the responsibility of the state health department. Baldwin County is responsible for more than 10 times the number of students and teachers, and is not yet talking about its plan. Superintendent Eddie Tyler was asked what will happen if a student tests positive, where he said he wants to wait to see if new directives come down from the State Board of Education or Department of Health.
You've got to trust that I know the plan. These senior staff members know the plan. Our board will know the plan. They trust us to develop that plan. But all the plan is not going to be revealed at this time because of things changing and of information that has not yet come out that you know will be changing.
Jesse McDaniel with the Alabama Teachers Association says its members, both teachers and support staff, are understandably apprehensive, but understand why Superintendent Tyler is holding off.
We want to make sure we're doing everything that we can to keep kids safe and to keep employees safe. So if that means that we need to wait and watch for some more data to come in, then we can support that because we want to do what's in the best interest of everyone.
Part of being prepared for what's ahead is to make sure there's enough teachers in the classroom. McDaniel says substitute teachers could be at a premium this year.
Increasing the substitute pool is one of those contingency plans to make sure that we have as many substitutes as we can possibly get, because we are probably going to need more substitutes this year given the circumstances that we're under.
Our House Sherrick reporting. Many people are wondering what's ahead for Mobile County students. Still no official plan in place, but the school board is expected to hold a special meeting next Wednesday. School system officials didn't say why the meeting would be held, but the clock is certainly ticking. The first day back to class for Mobile County students is scheduled for August the 10th. Nearly 1 in 4 American teachers are at high risk of serious illness if they contract the coronavirus. That statistic comes from a Kaiser Family Foundation report released on Friday. Nearly 1.5 million teachers are either over 65 or have health conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, or obesity. Those are all the factors that make them more vulnerable to COVID-19. The analysis comes as the nation is debating whether it's safe to bring children back into the classroom this fall. Research does indicate that kids are less likely to suffer serious illness from coronavirus. Again, the Kaiser report points out the higher risk population in schools may be teachers with pre-existing medical conditions. Mobile has set another record for the number of COVID-19 cases reported in just one day. 203 cases were reported by the Mobile County Health Department, and that's almost twice the number of cases from Thursday, a 100% increase. So the big question for epidemiologist Dr. Wendy Murphy is why.
Did a laboratory or two, send a lot of results that had maybe been backlogged? I don't know the answer to that question yet. I fear that it is a real increase, but we know that from time to time there are some other explanations, and so I'll be taking a close look at that this weekend to see if there's anything other than just the large and widespread and rapid community transmission behind that number.
The number of deaths reported went up by 1 and the number of hospitalizations went up by 6. But Dr. Murphy said the numbers of deaths and hospitalizations are absolutely underestimated because there are so many lab reports. Contact tracers can't keep up talking with the people with the virus. Longtime Clanton Mayor Billy Joe Driver has died from COVID-19. 84-year-old Driver was mayor for 36 years, a city council member for 12 years before that, and a former firefighter. The mayor was transferred to a Birmingham hospital for treatment on June 30th. He died yesterday, shortly after a prayer vigil was held for him in downtown Clanton. Chilton County in central Alabama currently has 295 confirmed coronavirus cases. Baldwin County Catholic priest Father Paul Zogby is in desperate need of prayers this morning as he fights COVID-19, taken to the hospital earlier this week, and he's still in serious condition. St. Margaret of Scotland Catholic Parish calling for 24 hours of prayer, asking members to pray for his healing, with a special vigil held yesterday afternoon with the Most Blessed Sacrament exposed. All were invited to sit or kneel in the church, devoting prayer to Father Zogby, who has grown very weak fighting COVID and is now relying on oxygen.
Very special to us because Father Zogby's pretty sick and we're all worried and scared, and so the only thing we know to do is pray.
Asking parishioners to offer Mass and Holy Communion to Father Zogby and others in need of strength when they hold their service this Sunday. And you've probably wondered, is it possible to test negative if you have COVID-19? Can tests be done too soon? Mobile County Health Department officials say you can have the virus in your body and it may be too low to be directed or detected by PCR laboratory tests. And so Dr. Wendy Murphy said on average you'll test positive or start showing symptoms between 2 and 14 days after exposure. She says if you get tested on days 1 through 4, it's very likely you will test negative. She says when you're infected, test results are affected by how many virus particles you inhaled.
But those viruses have to replicate in your body to a level that they can be detected by PCR on the specimen from your nose. And that takes a few days.
Dr. Murphy says if you think you've been exposed, don't get your first PCR test before day 5 to 7, but you have to be quarantined the entire time and stay home through 14 days. So she suggests getting tested again on day 12 to 14. Guidance from the Centers for Disease Control requires 2 consecutive negative PCR tests before a patient is moved out of isolation.